Well, let's bring in our guest. Marc Faber is editor and publisher of the Gloom, Boom and Doom Report. He joins us here at the SGX. Welcome, great to see you. Every time we see the story on China selling treasuries, it makes us wonder whether there's just this disenchantment with the US debt, or is it just China seeing that yields are very low? There's almost no return to get out of treasuries these days.
Well, I guess that it's a bit of the two. First of all, the yields are now extremely low. They're not as low as they were in December 2008 when the 10 years touched 2.08%. We're now still above 2.5%. But in general, if someone came to me and said, Mark, you have to buy 10 years treasuries for the next 10 years, you're not allowed to sell them, then obviously that return would be insufficient for me, because I think that eventually inflation will accelerate, and we have already some advanced indicators of inflation advancing, which is whenever food prices go up, and grains have been very strong recently, then with some delay you get inflationary pressures. So I wouldn't touch any 10 or 30 years US government bonds. But the second reason is, of course, the Chinese are not particularly happy because they know very well that over time the US dollar will weaken. That's the policy of the US government, to weaken the US dollar in order to cushion the downturn in the American economy. And so they will lose money on having dollar holdings. The problem is what else to do with your money, because the euro has also problems and other currencies have also problems. So a choice would be essentially to buy precious metals like gold and silver, which they should have done a long time ago. That they should have done a long time ago.
Doctor, Bernie here.
Yes.
Good to see you. What are you doing there?
Yes, very
instead
nice
of
to see you.
Okay. You know, Doctor, the difficult thing is it's hard to really read the mind of the Chinese, because you have to kind of go backwards. You have to reverse engineer. You take the tick date on the Treasury and you know what they're doing with Treasuries, but you don't really know in the same breath what they were doing on the flip side with that extra money. Let's put yourself right inside the mindset of China. What would you be running, not walking toward right now? You just mentioned precious metals. Would that be number one, far and away?
As you know, I'm a good friend of Robert Friedland, who runs Ivanhoe, and already 6 years ago we told the Chinese that they should increase their gold holdings, that they shouldn't invest in US dollars, but accumulate precious metals, which they've never done. Now they have the intention to accumulate gold and silver, but because the Reserve Bank of India bought gold around 1050, it would be kind of a loss of faith to pay more for gold than the Indian Reserve Bank paid. So I think they kind of missed the bull market in gold. They want to essentially increase their gold holdings, but they just don't know or aren't sure about the timing, because what they hate to do is buy, say, today at 1223, and then the gold price drops $100. So I think that's their dilemma. But the Chinese know very well they must get into resources, and that's why they have large investments in Africa, in Latin America, in Central Asia, and also they will be very interested in Mongolia, where I just came back from.
Okay, we'll pick up on that point in just a minute, but that is fascinating about the India number and the loss of face if they do buy for a price that is in fact higher. We're going to come back to you. Marc Faber is sticking with us here on the show today, Bernie.